Just give me a seat.
It's July 2004, and these guys weren't warming up for just any show. This was a party, a birthday party for one of rock and roll's greatest musicians. Johnnie Johnson, known to many as the father of rock and roll, was celebrating his 80th birthday.
Johnnie Johnson, y'all.
And more than 10,000 of his loyal fans came out to wish him well and hear a little music. Johnnie was a self-taught piano player. He never had a lesson. His God-given talent got him inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. His star is on the St. Louis Walk of Fame. He played with some of the world's greatest musicians. In fact, Johnnie's contributions to rock and roll are so great that Mayor Francis Slay declared July 8, 2004, which is Johnnie's birthday, Johnnie Johnson Day in the city of St. Louis. But these accolades didn't happen overnight. You see, Johnnie was a sideman. He's best known for playing piano in ChuckBerry's band, a gig that lasted almost 3 decades. But he did no recording on his own, and it was almost a lifetime before he got any recognition for himself. East St. Louis is where things started for Johnnie Johnson. During the 1950s, jobs were plentiful. There were tire factories, steel foundries, and Johnnie moved here after the war to look for a job. He worked a few places, including the railroad, and he had a very short stint at a slaughterhouse, a job that almost put an end to his musical career before it even began.
One day I stuck the knife in the sheep's neck, and the knife hit a bone and ricocheted off the bone right through my thumb. And as I say, I didn't even know I was cut until when I got to the end where I would turn the sheep loose, I saw this thing dangling and looking at it with my thumb. All this is white meat up on it. It was there so quick it didn't have time to bleed before I seen it. And then naturally they rushed me over to Barnes Hospital and put me to sleep and sewed it back on. That was then I worked for them exactly 3 hours. And that was the end of that job.
Johnnie found a different day job, but on the weekends he took advantage of the East St. Louis music scene. There were music clubs on every corner, entertaining crowds 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I formed a little trio and called it the Sir John Trio. And I was playing different little clubs around in East St. Louis.
Johnnie's band played regularly at this now long-neglected building. Back then, it was a hot spot, the Cosmopolitan Club. And on New Year's Eve, 1952, Johnnie found his trio one man short, and he made a decision that would change the course of music forever.
One night, my saxophone player got sick and couldn't make the job. And I had heard ChuckBerry, because he was playing right up the street from where I was, a place called Huff's Garden. And I had his phone number, and I give him a ring, and actually we just set in for that one night. And that one night lasted over 20-some years that we stayed together, you know. Chuck playing this kind of music he played was something new to the black people because they used to hear in blues and whatever, and Chuck come in with this, what we called at that time, hillbilly stuff. And it went off like a Chinese firecracker.
Johnnie's rhythm and blues sound gelled perfectly with Chuck's hillbilly style. Chuck would bring the lyrics to rehearsal, and Johnnie would score the music behind it. It was the perfect partnership. In 1955, Chuck and Johnnie went to Chicago to record Maybelline, the first of many songs they would record together.
Maybelline, why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true? You done started doing the things you used to do.
And after Maybelline come out and whatever, then it became ChuckBerry Trio. Because during that time, only the artist's name was mentioned on the 45. no sidemen whatsoever.
Just let me hear some of that rock and roll music, any old way you choose it.
Johnny thought they were just playing a shuffle style of music, you know, the kind of music people could dance to, like the music of Fats Domino. But this dance music was about to get a name of its own.
And we went on this Alan Freed tour, and we were playing in Brooklyn, New York. And Alan Freed was standing back there, and in fact I was close to him as I am you. He said, "Look at those kids, boy, they just rocking and rolling." And right in the middle of his statement, he said, "Hey, why don't we call that music rock and roll music?" And boom, that's where the name comes from. Alan Freed was the first one I know to mention it. Why don't we call this rock and roll music? And then from there, it was just like a wildfire with gasoline on it.
For the next 27 years, the man immortalized as Johnny B. Good was Chuck Berry's sideman, providing numerous rock and roll classics with his own piano style. But as a sideman, Johnny received little acknowledgement and certainly no royalties.
To the public, they didn't know who I was, but they also enjoyed my music, because I've been told years later, I often wondered who was that playing all that piano on Chuck Berry's records.
In 1973, Johnny called it quits. He said it wasn't anything personal, he was just tired. Johnny didn't understand the business behind the music and never realized that he could have made an income from many of Berry's hits and spent the next several years living an extremely hard life, a life of near anonymity, stricken with poverty and drowning in alcoholism. While Chuck Berry was making millions from songs he and Johnny created together, his loyal sideman was dirt poor and drinking himself to death. But in 1986, Johnnie Johnson was given one last chance, not only for his music, but for his life. Chuck Berry was turning 60, and a feature film documentary was being done about his career. In conjunction with the filming of Hail Hail Rock and Roll, an all-star performance was to be held at the Fox Theater, with such performers as Eric Clapton, Keith Richards, and Johnnie Johnson. This documentary revealed what many in the music business already knew, but few outside were aware of. Johnson's piano style was instrumental in the development of rock and roll.
He does school days. He ain't copying Chuck's riffs on piano. Chuck adapted them to guitar and put those great lyrics behind them. But without somebody to give him them riffs, voila, no song. Just a lot of words on paper.
Without the help of the sideman, what the artist playing wouldn't sound like nothing unless he had something to back up what he was doing. Now you take, just say Chuck, and you get him out there with his guitar, and nobody but him, they probably throw bricks at him. Well, when he added bass and guitar and the drums and all that, you got a beautiful sound.
Right, absolutely.
In 2001, Johnny did file a lawsuit against Chuck Berry for his share of royalties from songs they created together. But a judge ruled in Berry's favor, saying too much time had passed. Johnny did become sober, and he toured the world. He recorded with Keith Richards, Bo Diddley, Bonnie Raitt, and Aerosmith, just to name a few. Johnny recorded a few CDs of his own, and in the end was billed not as a sideman, but a frontman.
He's a man who has been working in the music and the entertainment field for a great deal of time, and who has experienced it on a variety of levels. I mean, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. This guy has an opportunity to work on some extraordinary levels in his profession, and at the same time, he allows himself to funnel those kinds of experiences to the musicians in which he worked with, especially to this band.
So on his 80th birthday, his last birthday, Johnnie Johnson did what he did best.
It was a long time coming, but I know I will see the day.
I never imagined it would go this far. I never imagined I'd get into the Hall of Fame. Lets me know my music that I play has been recognized by the public, and being it's a gift from God, I think he wanted me to share it with the public. So that's a good feeling right there. This is my contribution to music.